the Pathfinder Show, episode 2. My name is Valentina and
My name is Abhi.
we are your co-hosts for today. So this show is about exploring different paths and not being afraid of trying new things. So before we even go into that, we thought that we should cover some themes that we think are important to consider while you're taking a path, whether you're already in the middle of the path, if you're thinking about trying something new, or if you've already taken the path and you wanted to just reflect. So these 3 themes that we thought of were being prepared, so preparation, execution, and reflection. Today, we wanted to explore preparation and really just talk about it, have a conversation on what it is and what it means to us and why we think it's important.
So the topic for today, is really building a foundation of self-love and self-care to help you get to the next level. When people talk about being prepared, they usually talk about the pragmatic skills, right? Researching, setting up a calendar, calling up people, and really talking about the next path that you're going to take. But most people forget that building that foundation of taking care of yourself is what sets you in the right mindset of positive energy, keeping the negative energy out, to get you to the right place to start on this new path. And the reason we're really going on this topic today is because in the last year, many people have been misplaced, have not just been forced. Some people have decided to change their paths and try new paths. And we really believe that this is a topic that will provide immense value for people. So me and Valentina just want to have a conversation on what it means to build a foundation of self-care and self-love. Valentina, let's get right into it. That story of you and just in the last year of how you were starting out new paths and how you were out of balance and how you kind of got out of it with a self-care routine that you kind of told me that I think will provide a lot of value.
Yeah, absolutely. So within the last year or so, I think and it could have been COVID, could have been like a combination of a lot of things, but I just wasn't like mentally doing great. Like I wasn't motivated. I just didn't feel balanced. I didn't feel energized. I didn't feel prepared to take on something new, but I was hungry for it. Like I really wanted to feel better. And I've always been about like the self-care, like taking care of yourself, making sure that your foundation is set so that I feel prepared to take things on, and it makes me feel more confident when doing so. So, for example, a couple of things that I did were working out. Anytime that I don't work out, I will notice it immediately in my energy levels and in my attitude and like my mindset towards things. So that was really important to me. Another thing is sleeping well. So like 7 hours a night, 7 hours of sleep a day is really like a non-negotiable for me. And so I started taking all those things into account and eating healthy as well. So these were kind of just like my foundation, like my habits for foundation setting that I really like made sure that I had every single like week, every single day. And also, this was like a huge thing that I couldn't believe I had never really thought about before, but making sure that I'm doing things that make me happy, no matter what. Like, even if the world is falling down, like have time to just blast my music and dance, or take a drive and just, blast music in the car, or have coffee dates with my friends. These are things that make me happy, that feed me internally so that I can sustain a like good mood and a motivational like mindset so that I can take new things on. And once I started implementing all of those things, slowly but surely, my life started like balancing out, and I got to a point, and I feel like right now I'm at a point where I feel a lot more steady and ready to take on a lot of things.
Val, for me, it was the little things, right? Like talking about that just the last year. Okay, you remember this, March 2020, right? And I was just so the audience knows what March 2020 was for me specifically, was I was a full-time college student, but I was also building my business. So in between classes, I was taking client calls. In between classes, I was talking to employees, putting in orders, doing that, right? So really the way I was looking at it, and I think my parents are going to probably look at me the wrong way about this. I was looking at school as not the priority, the business as the priority. So the reason I say that is just in the last year, it was a new path for me because I was graduating school in May. So from March to May, right when the pandemic hit and we had to transition, it was the little things. So being able, for me, the best thing in the world is like, oh, I don't have to commute to class. I can take this class in between a client call. I can have the Zoom call up and I could be placing orders for vendors. Like I could be working on the business while in school. Yes, I don't recommend this for everyone. Please don't do that. Do well in school. But then the little things hit me on this new path of graduation, right? And this is where being prepared, the topic of self-care and self-love really comes into this, is the little things that Walmart closed at 10 p.m. I was a night shopper. Like me and my friends, like some people might look at this and like, okay, this is stupid. Me and my friends would go hang out at Walmart at 4 a.m. You know what I mean? We'd be those dudes, really weird. But the reason I say this is because that whole period of March 2020 to May 2020, just in the first start of this whole pandemic thing, I'm sure it was a whole readjustment period. And the way that most of us got through it, and I think it's really important to understand that you talked about these, routines that you did as far as working out, as far as eating right, doing what made you happy. I realized one thing, a lot of things that made me happy was the little things. Walmart being open on 24/7, being able to go to my friend's house and just chill, being able to go to the basketball court and not see the rims taken off the backboard. Some of the hoopers out there, they'll hit, like they'll hurt them, what I just said. So what I realized that it was a mindset change. The one things that I had to change in my mindset is, now that school is ending, I can finally go 24/7 into building this business, but I need to do it in the right way where some of the routines that I had to do personally was, what are some alternatives that made me happy before that we can do right now. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk to you about. Like, what were the little things that bothered you or, you had to readjust to? Do you remember?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this quarantine, I spent like the beginning months at my mom's house. So I kind of moved all my I took like two storage bins and moved to her house. And at the beginning, we wouldn't even go out, and we started doing something that literally changed my mornings. I was never a morning person, but she lives in South Florida. We started getting up to see the sunrise at the beach, and this was like 1 or 2 months into like the whole shutdown. So like we hadn't left our house, and we finally go to the beach, and it was just spending like the first 2 hours of your day like in the water, on the sand, enjoying the sun, like taking in the vitamin D. It was amazing. And that was a huge thing that I like, even when I lived in South Florida, I never went to the beach. And just really connecting with nature was something that, to me, and I think my mom as well, it really changed up our days and brightened our moods. Another thing is taking walks. Um, and that was something that like pre-COVID I never really did because I never had to like get out of the house. I was already out of the house. So I think COVID made us really analyze and change all of our routines, because a lot of the things that we used to do to feel better or feel happy or be prepared, we couldn't do anymore. So before I would hang out with my friends to de-stress. Now like COVID happened and I couldn't hang out with my friends. So definitely pivoting and making sure I like figured out my system again, like fast, helped. But yeah, the little things like just being outside helped so much. And I started running. And I think taking on running was a huge stress reliever, and it really helped balance me out, even though it really fucked up my knees. But you take some and you get some, you lose some.
Yeah, COVID really put us out of balance. Like I think that's an understatement. And some people don't know what being out of balance is, but really, I want to go into that in a little bit, but I really want to talk about, what do people think self-care and self-love is, right? We're really talking about some of the on the surface things. Like people might say, hey, go and take a walk. Like, okay, that's normal, just taking a walk. It's really the idea of taking the time for yourself.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like self-care and self-love is like, what is your priority of needs? Like people will really think that their priority of needs is like, oh shoot, I'm running late to a meeting. I don't have time to eat this breakfast. I don't have time to do this, do that. And most people hearing me say this right now will be like, of course I don't have time. I have this important client meeting. No, I can't stop by and grab a breakfast. Well, then that's when, you got to wake up earlier, right? That's an alternative. Or you can take a client meeting on Zoom now. I'm not telling people what to do. I'm just saying there's other alternatives where you can put the priority of your own health, your own well-being in the first place. Then you would do better on your client meetings. Then you would close more clients, or you would be in a better state of mind, right? There's different ways of thinking about it. So, but really, what I want to talk about is, how do you know when you're out of balance? Like we were talking about this, like how do you know? Like I'd love to, personally, how do I know when I'm out of balance? When I get cranky, when I get short tempered on people, when I'm talking to people that I really love, and I take work problems and I put it off on other people. For example, like people have known this, right? You go to work, you had a shitty day, something happened at work, you come home and bring that same energy at home. That's how I know I personally am out of balance, because that shouldn't be happening, right? But Val, I'd love to know when you think you feel that you're out of balance and you need to realign yourself.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that I'm out of balance when I get tired. Usually, if I'm really energized, it means like everything's, the whole car is oiled and I'm fine. But when I get tired and when I'm, when I have to take a nap, or usually it just means I'm overwhelmed and I'm not dealing with it on the inside, like enough so that it doesn't take over. But usually that's my indicator. If I just get really exhausted during the day and I know I've slept well, ate well, and done everything that I needed to not be exhausted, that is how I know that I'm kind of not all right. And then as well, like whenever I am like irritated, or if I just like I'm not feeling good, or I start having like negative thoughts about a bunch of stuff and I start seeing things in like a more gloomy perspective, usually like something's wrong, like what's bothering me. And that's kind of what triggers me to, like, if I, like what you were saying, if I get irritated with my parents or with my family or with my friends, I'm like, like why am I irritated? What's bugging me? And that's usually my indicator.
Right. I definitely feel you. And the funny thing is, a lot of people, and me, I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here. A lot of people in that state of mind don't think that they're out of balance in that particular state of mind, because at that point in time you're really thinking about whatever happened before. And what one thing I want to say is, this whole topic of you being out of balance, or you not being in the right place, be the best possible version of yourself that you can really affect you in trying to find your own happiness. When you go weeks on weeks, or let's start small. When you go days and days and then weeks and weeks of not being happy, and no one knows true, that is up to for you to figure out your true own, your self happiness. But if you go days and days and then weeks and weeks of not being happy, and you're just in the rut, maybe it's time to think of how I can start taking care of myself. Like maybe that's the indication.
And that's different for everybody. I think there's some people that take bubble baths, some people that just, I have some friends that when they go to get their nails done, that's their me time. When they go get coffee, that's their me time. If they go work out and sit in a sauna for 30 minutes, that's their me time. So it's definitely, it's figuring out what works for you.
Right. And really, when you're talking about preparing for a new path, this should be something that you're really prioritizing from the get-go. You know what I mean? Like, because without you, most people don't think of it as being selfish. No, that's actually, if you're part of a team, let's say you're part of a business or you're part of a small team, taking care of yourself and making sure that you're in the best possible mindset is actually helping the team at the end goal in and of itself. It's actually helping out the overall utility of the whole team. But one thing I really want to talk about, how does it actually affect your mindset? You know what I mean? Like, what are the little things that you can do when you're in a rut, or let's say you're really preparing for a huge goal? Like, a lot of people get nervous when they're preparing for the next stage of their lives. Like, hey, post grad, like before graduating, you're just like, hey man, I just want to get rid of all these, like all this homework, all these assignments. I can't wait until graduation day. But a lot of people don't think the day after graduation, right?
Yeah.
Now, some of the lucky ones out there, they have something set up like an internship or a job or anything like that. Most people, the day after they graduate, they're like, fuck, I'm relaxing, wake up at 12, eat some cereal, go back to watching some cartoons. I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm just saying, hey, that's what you kind of do. You know what I mean? Other people, they're like, fuck that. I had an internship before I graduated. And right after I graduated, I went into work. I started right after, right? It's totally different for everyone starting their new path. And I take this example because we're in it right now, like me and you, Val. And I think it's really important to talk about how your mindset changes whenever you're starting something new. And your regimens can change, things that make you happy can change. Like, for example, you talked about going to the gym and really taking care of yourselves, going on a run. Something that I realized, that college was a huge time in my life. I love video games. College was a huge time in my life when new releases of video games, new game consoles, next generation PC hardware, I couldn't delve into because I was worrying about school. That affected my happiness, and that's the smallest thing. So after, what I did after I graduated? I played hella video games. All the releases I missed out from 2015, 2016, 2017, I played them, and I'm still playing them. And that's what made me happy. You know what I mean? And that's helping me here in work and the way I deal with people. It's competitive. It lets me get my edge off. It's like mental gym for me, specifically. So it's like, how did your mindset change? Like, in the path of realigning yourself out of being out of balance, how did those little regimens that you did change your mindset?
It's a good question.
It's tough.
um so I think with all, like implementing all the different habits, I just had a better attitude and I started seeing things in a more positive perspective. So I had more energy. Just a main thing for me, and in general, like anybody who knows me knows that energy is like a huge deal for me. Whenever I have energy, I feel like I can do a lot of things, which then makes me happy, and then it makes me just feel better about life, and I feel like I'm more motivating to myself and to others. So I think that was a big thing that I found. I felt like my lights turned back on, and I was able to start helping other people, instead of feeling like I was draining other people. So
Boom. I love
that
that.
was that was huge. That was huge. In being able to just have the energy to deal with problems, and ask for problems so I can help solve other people's problems. But really, to me, it was just energy.
Boom. I absolutely love that. Mic drop. You talked about attitude is fucking everything, right? Attitude leads to having the right vibe. You know what I mean? And you
Attitude of gratitude.
attitude. I love that. The funniest thing you said is, whenever I'm in a rut or feeling down, you know what, you said this and I really agree with you. You know what always helped me get out of that? Helping someone else.
Yeah.
Taking the time to just answer a question or do a favor for someone else out of your own graciousness is something that always put a smile on my face, me personally. And I
Yeah.
found myself, whenever I was feeling out of balance or even feeling unhappy or being frustrated, just taking a second to go to the other room and really calming myself down and coming out, and really just being kind and nice to the people around me. like people talk about helping others and doing favors and really helping solve other people's problems. That's amazing. But let's say you can't do that. You know what's the next best thing you can do that you can always do always is be kind. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
definitely, definitely.
Like that's the little things. I think if you're ever feeling out of balance, start with, personally, I think it start with, are you being kind to yourself, and being kind to others is very key. We kind of talked about a little bit of our tips and tricks. I have like a little go-to system for myself, and I just wanted to share this with anyone. Please let us know in the comments below what types of tips and tricks you have to get out of feeling out of balance or get yourself in the right mindset to tackle new things. But my whole little thing is, whenever I'm feeling not myself or feeling up to doing something and doing the right task, because you talked to me about this before the show started, the whole Tony Robbins thing that really resonated with me. Do you want a second to explain what that is real quick to the audience?
So I did it was like a live web event that Tony Robbins did. I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, and it was about like the whole give me like energy. And so before, and he'll do this randomly in like the middle of his events, and he'll like be like stand up and just like start like moving around and like give you high energy and jump and jump and jump, like make noise. And then it's like sit down in your chair and then give me more energy, and he like goes crazy. And yeah, that's something that like, even if I was feeling tired or like lost or bored, just getting up gets you so engaged and like super energetic and like high energy, really.
And that's one of the things that I didn't even realize that Tony was doing, because I was just in the hype house. Like I was like, holy
Yeah.
shit. And I realized I do that too on a smaller level. Like before I take meetings, whenever I'm feeling drained, I'm just like, oh, I'm tired, and you still got like 4 more hours to go, I go into the restroom, look myself in the mirror, and I'm like, let's go. Like I look at myself and I'm hype, like my own hype man. I know that's weird for some people, but hey, it works for me. So that's the one thing I do. The second thing I do is I drink a shitload of water. I don't know what it is about that, but keeping yourself, look at that. I mean, I'm not here to tell you how to do it, but just for me personally, drinking a shitload of water, just, I talk a lot, as you guys can see. So my throat is dry like 24/7. Drinking water, just having that have right next to me really keeps me calm, really keeps me going. So just keeping hydrated. And the last thing is, I try not to work when I'm hungry. I realize one thing: when I'm hungry, I am so unproductive. I am so out of place. I'm so quick to temper, I'm not the right person I want to be when I'm hungry. So when I get hungry, and I was really on this while I was in school and college, Valentina, my mom would call me like 5 times a day and be like, "Did you eat?" I'm like, "Mom, I actually skipped lunch. I was busy as hell." And she was like, "No, it doesn't matter if you have a fucking test. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a client call. It doesn't matter if you're pitching your business. Take a snack out of your freaking pocket and just shove it in your face. It's really important." Like
Wow.
for me personally, I don't try to do anything when I'm hungry. I would even move a meeting. Like, all right, fine, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's have, instead of and I told you about this, instead of a 30-minute meeting, let's have a 7-minute meeting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Let's cut. And
Time so you eat.
yeah, Gary V says this, and I love the, I saw one of his podcasts like months ago, and he said this, like, instead of a 30-minute meeting, have a 7-minute meeting. And at first I was like, that's hilarious. And a lot of people would be like, no, that won't work. It's really, a lot of meetings are a lot of bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are the tips and tricks that I go to. Hopefully that provided some type of value to the audience. Please let us know in the comment section below what you guys resort to really get realigning yourself. But Val, do you have any tips and tricks that you
Yeah,
do?
yeah. To add on, and I was gonna say this, I also was doing like some mirror talks this summer, and I kind of stopped, but they were really effective while I was doing them. Right before I go in, I would shower, or sorry, I would work out, and then right before I'd shower, I'd like be all sweaty, like in my grind mode, like all the endorphins up.
Crusty. Yeah.
And exactly. And I'd go in and I look at myself, and I'd literally like I would state affirmations and give myself like a little pep talk. And it was amazing. Like just on a daily basis, having that conversation with yourself and recognizing yourself for what you're doing. So I would do a lot of like, look what every, like, I would recognize all my wins, and even if there were little wins, like you just worked out, like look at you sweating, you got up this morning, you're alive right now, you're well, you're healthy. And I would recognize these things, and it's just looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing that you're alive and you're doing all these things helps me a lot. And it sounds a little silly, but if you haven't tried it, I would recommend trying it.
Just
um,
try it. I completely agree.
Exactly. And another thing, and I've kind of sworn by this for a long time now, cold showers. Even if it's like at the end of your shower, just taking a cold shower to kind of just like energize yourself. And like I usually turn the cold water on, and as soon as it starts hitting me, I just start like jumping and shaking, freaking out. And then having like an energizing playlist that kind of gets you either focused or energized. And whenever you're feeling down, it's like, nope, not today. Play the playlist, and then kind of just get yourself back into your normal self. So
I absolutely love that. And but really, if you're not in the right place, personally, I think it becomes a hell of a lot harder. And why make it harder for you if you're trying, especially when you're trying a new path? Why the hell would you make it harder on yourself? So
I think sometimes people think that slowing down is, and you kind of touched upon this, slowing down might, be less productive. And I think that's like a misconception. Like, and I think sometimes it's like it's necessary to slow down. It's like having a pit stop. You don't, like, race cars don't go into a pit stop because they want to slow down. It's because they want to be able to maintain like a high speed for a longer time for the entire race.
high efficiency. You're right.
Exactly. So I think in terms of sustainability, taking time off, even if you say you don't have time, make the time, because if you don't make the time, you're really not going to be able to have time. And it was one of those, I read this in one of these books. It was saying, like, if you don't have 10 minutes a day to meditate, then you should meditate for 20, because
Dang.
you should have 10 minutes. And if you really don't have 10 minutes, it's like, where are your priorities? Like,
Right.
where is your time if you don't have 10 minutes to slow down? So I think really making sure that you prioritize slowing down, whether that's in like self-care or just stopping and being mindful for a couple minutes each day. I think it really would help you find that success and be prepared for the opportunities that come.
I absolutely love that.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. I completely agree. So guys, I hope you guys like this episode. Building a foundation of self-care, self-love. It takes a lot of work. If you guys enjoyed this type of content, go to Apple Podcasts and please leave a 5-star review. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, put a like button on there, leave a comment, really engage with us. I hope this type of topics is valuable to you guys. And just like I mentioned it, I kind of mentioned it, but I really want to let you guys know, we dove deeper into this topic in a blog post. So go to our website. The link is in the description. Our link is in the bio. And go check out our blog post where we dive a little bit deeper into this. And please engage with us. Please leave a comment going forward. So guys, this is the Pathfinder Show. It's a space where we challenge societal myths confining you to one path. And make sure you guys stay tuned for our weekly content. Anyway, this has been Abhi and
Valentina.
And we appreciated having you this week. Take care.
Bye. How do you say this? Like, wait, hold on. I forgot the word. What's the
your
what
chi, your yin yang, your aura. Oh, wait. I'm just repeating. I'm probably messing you up right now.
No.
Your chakra?
No. Shit.
It's like, your shit and messed up your digestive system? No.
Maybe I'm not balanced. Shit.
Maybe I'm not. I'm never balanced. Let me just tell you right now. Like, I think reaching nirvana and reaching what Buddha reached, I don't think I can get to that level. There's too many. There's too much little shit, but I'm trying. That's the important part.
Trying to find your path to enlightenment.
Right.
No, it's shit. All right, ask me again. Maybe it'll come.
No worries.